Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be doing a question and answer video on the Tarot and Witchcraft series, of which there are 3 installments on the channel so far. I also posted on Instagram in my story that I was going to be recording this video, so I have some questions from viewers regarding off of Instagram, and then I have some questions from YouTube. I just wanted to throw it out there really quickly as well that I do post on Instagram, typically in my story when I'm going to preparing to upload or create a video or a video series. And so that may be an area where you want to just check in and see what I'm doing in case you want to be a part of kind of how I'm formulating the structure of a video, or if you have some thoughts or questions that you want to ask in the future. I share a lot on Instagram. It's just an easy platform for me to be able to share with people, and a lot of people are on there. Facebook doesn't really resonate with me, so I'm not really on Facebook. And I don't do TikTok, and I don't do Snapchat or whatever that is. I don't know. I'm analog life, guys. I don't have time for social media outside of, connecting with my community anyhow. So I'm not on a whole bunch of different platforms. But yeah, so we're going to do question and answer today, and I'm going to, create a few videos in this installment of question and answer for the Tarot and Witchcraft series. So if I don't get to your question today, I'm not ignoring you. It's going to come in a later installment, because I know some of you love longer videos, but a lot of you are like, could you keep it to 15 minutes or less? So I've been trying to be aware of that. So I'll probably do a few 15-minute installments in this video series. Okay, so my first question coming from the daily practice video in this series. One of you asked, could you please share if you've ever experienced, does your, words today, guys, struggle is real. Does your practice change during times when you have live-in partners? Could you please share if you've ever experienced these kind of challenges and how you coped with the challenges in order to stay strong in your practice during these times? And I thought this was a really great question. I have been a practicing witch for well over a decade, and I have been in, I've had more than 2 relationships over that decade, but I had 2 which were very impactful as far as learning lessons for me in regards to this. So I'm going to speak to those, and then I'm going to talk about, I'm not currently in relationship right now. I haven't been for some time, but I will address kind of going forward from a more advanced perspective, personally myself now, how I will be addressing that going forward, because this is a very real thing here. And it can cause issues. So I had one relationship where my partner, while not following my faith based practice, my personal left-hand path practice, he was very supportive and was very on board for my morning routine, and would really was very, very supportive of creating space for me to do my work, was very supportive of my altars in our home, and was very on board for me being able to have time and space to do that. And he really felt like not only did that benefit my business because I was in a better mode for readings, but it also benefited my personal energy in the home. And so he was very supportive of that. So that made my personal practice very easy. We both were on a very similar schedule as well. So he would get up and leave very early in the morning, and I was up doing my card work early in the morning, and we had a really nice flow with that routine. So in that relationship, I didn't really have to change my routine. In fact, we would sometimes, in a sense, practice together. If I was doing work in front of my altar, he would come and sit kind of in the same space and be doing his own thing. And so we had a beautiful flow with that. And so that was a very positive experience. I was in a very long-term marriage, and I really stepped into my practice in that marriage. I discovered who I was. I got married very young. And that partner was not as supportive. And that was very difficult because they felt like I was selfishly taking time away from them if I was involved in my practice when they were in the house. And that was really difficult. So if you are in that type of situation, at the time I was a lot younger, and I really capitulated to my partner's desires at that time. From my vantage point now, that's a non-negotiable in relationship for me. Like going into a relationship, that's just a part of my life, and I need and require a partner who's on board for me having my personal space for my practice and them having their personal space for their time for themselves, right? But I will say, if you find yourself in this situation where you're with a partner who's struggling to give you the time and space you need for your personal practice, really honest communication is very important. I don't necessarily think that it's something that you can completely sugarcoat and try to like make okay. And it's an area where compromise is going to be tricky. So I think really honest communication with your partner is very important. What I noticed, and I can only speak to my own experience here personally for myself, is my partner felt like I was taking time that was supposed to be his time with me and instead devoting it to myself. And so I would encourage communication around how that's actually not a selfish thing. It's a self-care practice. You know, time for daily card work and daily ritual and connection with our guides in sacred space is something that's part of self-care for those of us that follow a path like this. It's not selfishly taking time away from the other individual. And so I think really honest and like straight up front honest, but loving. Of course, I'm not saying be mean. You know, there's a way to be gentle, but really honest. And I think that that's an essential part of shifting that dynamic. If you feel called to daily practice and your partner's not allowing you to have that practice, that's something that needs to change. That's an unhealthy dynamic. So, and I'm not saying that the viewer who asked this was saying that at all. Please don't think that. I'm just speaking to this as a whole since I'm answering this question. It's really important that you have a partner who's able to be as supportive of you as you are of them. So like, as an example, let's say they really love to, like their time for themselves is like to go outside and work on their car or something like that, or watch a sports game, or I don't mean to like assume the gender is male here, but you know, do something that feels good for them, work out in the garden, right? Your version of your daily practice is that same thing. So it's not you selfishly taking time away from them, it's you taking time for yourself in the same way that they might go garden or go for a walk or go get a drink with a friend, right? It's the same thing. It's just that you're choosing to invest that personal time in a different way. So I think really open communication is important. Also, I am straight up honest with you. I have been in very toxic relationships in my life because I was raised in a very toxic dynamic. Growing up, a very controlling environment. If a partner is not allowing you a spiritual practice that benefits you, that is a form of control. And so you really do need to look at the red flags there, and you need to examine and self-evaluate if this partnership is something that's healthy. If after evaluating, you really come to the conclusion that it's not, some honest communication at the very least is called for in this situation. And I'm just going to say that straight up. And I can say that because I've lived this. I have lived this. And it's very important to, if this is important to you, if daily practice really does make you a better person and it creates a sense of deep fulfillment and groundedness within you in a similar way that it does for me and for other witches who follow this practice, there is no reason why someone who loves you shouldn't be supportive of it. So, you know, I understand like trying to find a balance and your partner like, hey, we only have this much time alone together a week and you're spending half an hour of it doing that. Communication around that is beautiful. But if you're with a controlling partner, you do need to be honest with yourself about that. And how do you stay strong in your practice was the other question. I like to, when I'm in relationship with someone, I like to flow a little bit with the times that I'll practice. So, like in my most recent partnership, which ended some time ago, my partner was someone who went to work later than I did. So I would often get up a little bit earlier on purpose so that I had that half an hour completely quiet while both my partner at the time and my son were sleeping. And that was really helpful. And if I wanted to do nighttime practice and they were there, this was a partner who, while the relationship didn't last, did not have a problem with my spiritual practice. So I would just do my altar work while this partner was watching TV or, you know, scrolling on their phone or doing whatever they were doing. And that dynamic worked well for us. So if you are kind of struggling with finding a sweet spot with this for yourself, number one, don't give up your practice. Number two, look at, you know, like reevaluate your schedules together and how you're merging your lives together and look at like, okay, my partner tends to watch TV from like 6 to 8. That's a beautiful time for me to take 20 minutes and go sit in front of my altar. And even, if your altar's in the same space, you can be sitting at your altar with headphones on or something like that and doing your spiritual practice, and they can be doing their thing. And then you're in the same space together if that's a problem for them. If they want to feel like they're in the same space with you. And a beautiful way to communicate about that is watching TV is watching TV. Like, I'm either sitting on the couch with you watching TV, or I'm sitting like 2 spaces over on the floor doing my practice. Like, it's not like you're necessarily having serious communication while you're watching TV typically, right? So that's a beautiful sweet spot there. This answer is going to take 15 minutes, guys. So I would really encourage communication and look at how you can flow around each other's schedules. Ideally, the partnership I had where we were on a very similar schedule worked beautifully, but also it was very easy for me to dovetail my practice around a later partner's different schedule than mine. It was just finding those times. And a little bit be willing to sacrifice some extra sleep. I've never regretted sacrificing sleep to get up and work with my practice. So those are my recommendations. Again, I'm in no way saying that the person that asked this has a controlling partner. Please don't think that. I'm just asking you to, if you are dealing with this issue, honestly self-evaluate for anyone who is. And actually a couple people thumbs up this. So it seems like a couple people wanted some insight into that. So that's what I would recommend. And I understand that this becomes a problem. As I said, I've had partners over the years, some who have been 100% on board with me, like, you do you. The happier you are, the happier I am. And then I've had partners who are like, you are absolutely being selfish right now. And I've had some who are a little bit in between. So it's just about finding your healthy way of expressing yourself and setting a boundary that, like, this is a part of your life. No different than some people go to church on Sunday, or some people go to church whenever they go to church. This is your practice, and time needs to be given for that practice. It's what keeps you healthy and balanced in your life. So another question here. During your morning practice or card draw, would you ever use a new deck that you're getting to know, or do you use something more like your Tarot of Vampires deck? I love this question. I like to work with like a deck a week or a deck a month. And I find that the morning practice card draw is a great time for getting to know a new deck. So often when I get a deck, I'll do my deck introduction spread, which is on the channel. And I've like adapted that over the years, and I have a really nice flow with that. So I'll do like a getting to know you spread, and then I'll spend like a week to a month doing daily draws with that deck. And it's a really great way to get to know the personality of that deck and familiarize yourself with the artwork and the meanings. It's really beautiful that way. So I absolutely will get to know a new deck that way. That being said, like Tarot of Vampires, as many of you know, she's right here, is a really big deal for me in my life. And she's a very comforting deck. And so I will, like, I'm not necessarily super stringent with like if I'm working with a deck for a month, but I'm really having a bad day and I just need my Tarot of Vampires, I'll totally honor that for myself. So I like to flow between old faithful decks and then getting to know new decks. I might want to date somebody new that week. So let's see, next question. Do you feel comfortable sharing your altar or how you use crystals in your practice with tarot? And do you recommend a dark mirror to connect with spirits or deity? So do I feel comfortable sharing my altar? I do actually share video and photos of my altar on Instagram. I will consider making a video on this channel. I'm really, altars are really sacred to me. In fact, I'm probably going to do a separate video in this series on altars, and I may share some altars there. But I really am very careful and intentional when I do share my altars because they're really personal to my magical practice. Do I use crystals? So this is a really great question. I am someone who uses more natural stones than I do crystals. That being said, I do have a few crystals that I work with, and one of them is smoky quartz. I am obsessed with smoky quartz. I will use black obsidian. And in fact, if you're looking for a dark mirror, I would work almost with, I like to actually use black obsidian to scry with. So that's an option too. And as far as dark mirrors go, I think it's a great way to connect with spirits and deity. I prefer to be alone when I do that. I don't do that with other people though, present in the room, physical people present in the room. So to go back to the crystals, I will use smoky quartz, black obsidian, selenite, clear quartz. People send me crystals, and I always trust that if I get sent a crystal, that I'm supposed to work with it or know who to pass it on to. Outside of that, I work with hematite a lot. And I work with malachite. I almost said moldavite. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's malachite. I will work with malachite as well because I associate that with the goddess Isis. But I really prefer to work with stones from the sea and natural stones found out in nature. I don't like overly tampered with crystals. I don't like that. I like to feel the voice of the stone that I'm working with. And also, I was trained shamanically, and I do feel that crystals and stones have devas. So they have deity that resides within them, and then they have like an overarching deity that presides over like smoky quartz in general. So I like to really be very intentional with those devas. And I do feel that stones and crystals are very powerful. And I will work with, if I'm doing a lot of readings in a day, I might have selenite out near my decks. But typically I prefer to work with smoke for clearing and cleansing over crystals. I don't know why, but that's just how I am. So I hope that answers that. And so, yeah, I answered the dark mirror question. Someone asked me about spirit boards. I will speak to that in a different video because I'm already over 15 minutes here. Because I have some very decided personal opinions on that, which are just personal opinions. So final question I'm going to answer in this video. Question, what is the purpose of casting a circle? What does it allow one to do? I'll answer the second part of this question in the next video. So for this first part, the purpose of casting a circle, it creates an energetic boundary. It's a very clear delineation that this is your magical space. This is your sacred space. And nothing that is out of alignment with your intention and purpose or your connection with specific deities is allowed into that space. It also honors your deities. It honors the elemental beings. It honors the beings that you work with on your path as well. If you do working and you don't cast a circle, you're inviting everybody to the party. And non-corporeal beings, I almost said non-sentient, non-corporeal beings of which there are all kinds, and not everybody's here to help. It's like sending out a beacon that says, hey, come hang out at my place. It's energetically messy. It's not well done of a witch to not cast a circle if they're going to spellcraft. And it's not well done of a witch to not cast a circle if they're going to be doing an intensive work. So casting a circle is very important and it's necessary in the practice. That was a great question as well. So, okay, we've answered like 3 questions here in the first half of this video. I'm going to do a second video answering some more questions now, and we'll have a 3rd and 4th installment probably next week for questions and answers. But thank you all so much for sharing questions with me. It's so much fun to hear what you guys want to talk about. And as always, like, these are just my opinions. Please trust your intuition first and foremost. I'm sending you much love and many blessings. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.